Absolutely no sense. It never made any sense. And I know people like to say, well, they traded Miles, so anything can happen. I think this is a totally different case. I'm talking about the social media pondering. I'm talking about everything that goes on in the cycle of the internet world when it comes to how people feel about the coverage of Shedeur Sanders, their opinion of other people's opinion of him, etc.
A Browns analyst just exposed the real motive behind the Shedeur Sanders trade push, and it has nothing to do with football. The argument is sharp. The people pushing the trade and the he can't be a backup narrative are not doing it because of anything Shedeur did on the field. They are doing it because the social media backlash around their Shedeur coverage has worn them down, and they would rather he just vanished so the noise goes away. That is the real motive, not football, their own comfort. Here is everything. Let's start with why the trade talk makes no football sense, because that is the foundation of the whole argument. The analysts laid it out plainly. Why in the world would you trade Shedeur Sanders, leaving Deshaun Watson as your starter, for a team that says it is trying to win this year? Think about that. You have a quarterback room where Shedeur has put in night and day work all offseason, where Andrew Berry and Todd Monken have both praised how much he has grown, and where he is in the middle of a real competition. Trading him away to roll with Watson, a quarterback associated with the worst era of Browns football, would be football malpractice. It makes no sense. And that is exactly the point that opens the door to the real motive. Because when a move makes zero football sense, but people keep pushing it anyway, you have to ask why. What is actually driving it, if not football? That is the question the analysts answered, and the answer is uncomfortable. The analysts pointed out that the Browns did not even add a real quarterback option this offseason. They drafted Taylon Green, but they drafted him knowing he is a project, not someone ready to start. So it is not like the Browns have some other option waiting in the wings. Deshaun and Shedeur are the options, and one of them, Deshaun, is a guy the fan base cannot stand, associated with what many call the worst trade in NFL history. The other, Shedeur, is the only quarterback who gives the franchise and the fans some sign of hope. So from a pure football standpoint, you keep Shedeur and you see what you have, because he is the only real upside on the roster. Trading him away would leave you with a controversial veteran nobody wants to watch on a team that is rebuilding. No competent front office does that, which is exactly why the analysts concluded the trade push is not coming from football people making football decisions. It is coming from somewhere else.
Makes absolutely no sense. It never made any sense. And I know people like to say, well, they traded Miles, so anything can happen. I think this is a totally different case. A totally different position. And when you look at the situation, right, you look at the quarterback room and you understand all the install and learning of the system that has taken place. You've heard Andrew Berry and Todd Monken talk about the differences night and day as far as the work he's put in the offseason.
So you should probably just see that through. Like, they didn't invest in the quarterback position this offseason other than Taylon Green, who he's not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So, like, they drafted him knowing he's a project. It's not like they added some quarterback that presents another option or that you can turn to if this thing doesn't work out with one of these two guys.
So if it is not football, what is the real motive? The analysts said it straight, and it is about the media, not the team. Here's the real motive the analyst exposed, and it is sharp. He said the people in the media pushing the trade and that he can't be a backup narrative are, in his opinion, the people experiencing the backlash from Shedeur coverage and wanting that backlash to go away. Read that again. The push to move Shedeur is not about Shedeur's play. It is about the media's own exhaustion with the social media storm that follows every Shedeur take. Think about what he is describing. Covering Shedeur Sanders means dealing with the most passionate fan base in football. Every negative take gets blasted. Every doubt gets challenged. The comment sections, the social media pondering, the constant pushback. The analyst said it would just be easier for these people if Shedeur simply went away and vanished completely. Then the backlash stops. Then they get peace. That is the motive. Personal comfort dressed up as football analysis. And the analyst connected it directly to the can't be a backup narrative, which is the part that exposes the whole thing. Some media members have been pushing the idea that if Shedeur does not win the starting job, he has to be traded because he supposedly cannot handle being a backup. The Analyst destroyed that. He asked, "Who said he can't handle it?" Because the facts say the opposite. Shedeur was the third string, then second string quarterback for most of last year, buried behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel, and he handled himself just fine. He stayed professional, he kept working, he waited his turn. So the idea that he cannot be a backup is not based on anything Shedeur has ever done. It's invented. So why invent it? The Analyst's answer is the exposed motive. He said when people talk like that, in his mind, it is only because the social media world has weighed on them so much that they would rather see Shedeur leave to get themselves some peace. They're attaching the reasoning to things that have nothing to do with Shedeur himself. The trade push is not a football evaluation. It is a group of media members worn down by the backlash to their own coverage who have decided life would be easier if the lightning rod just disappeared. That is the real motive. And once you see it, every "can't be a backup, has to be traded" take reads completely differently.
And the people in the media who are saying this are the people, in my opinion, that's experiencing some of the issues and want those issues to go away. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the social media backlash. I'm talking about the social media pondering. I'm talking about everything that goes on in the cycle of the internet world when it comes to how people feel about the coverage of Shedeur Sanders, their opinion of other people's opinion of him, etc.
It would just be easier to make it go away.
It would just make it, it would be easier for these people to not have to deal with that on a day-to-day if Shedeur Sanders just went away and vanished completely if he didn't win the starting quarterback job. And so when people say that, well, he can't be a starting quarterback.
And there is a second real motive that makes trading Shedeur even more absurd. It is about money, marketing, and a stadium the Browns have to fill. Here is the business motive that makes keeping Shedeur a no-brainer, and the Analyst laid it out clearly. Step back and look at it from a pure marketing and PR standpoint. The Browns just traded away Myles Garrett. They are rebuilding from the ground up. And the fan base, a huge portion of the city, cannot stand Deshaun Watson. He is associated with a bad era of Browns football and what many call the worst trade in NFL history. People do not like him as a player or as a person. That is the reality the front office is dealing with. So look at the two quarterbacks as products you have to sell to a fan base. On one side, Deshaun Watson, controversial, disliked, tied to bad memories. On the other side, Shedeur Sanders, the exciting unknown, the guy fans are curious about, the one who broke the all-time merchandise record and sells the most jerseys in the league. If you're the Browns, which one do you sell to keep fans engaged? It is not close. Shedeur is the only thing on that roster fans are excited about at the quarterback position. And the Analyst tied it to a specific business reality that the front office absolutely cares about. The Browns have a new stadium to sell in 2029. They're thinking long-term. They need to keep fans interested and engaged enough to stay invested through a rebuild so that by the time the new stadium opens and the team is competitive again, the fan base is still there and still buying. Shedeur Sanders is the single best tool they have to do that. He keeps fans watching, he keeps them buying gear, he keeps hope alive during a rebuild. So trading him would not just be a football mistake, it would be a business disaster. You don't throw away the one good thing you have to sell, the one player generating excitement, just because some media members are tired of the comment sections. So now you have both real motives exposed. The trade push is being driven by media members who want the backlash to go away, and it ignores the obvious business truth that Shedeur is the franchise's most valuable marketing asset during a rebuild. The front office, the people who actually have to sell tickets and fill a stadium, understand this. They are not trading their biggest draw. The people pushing the trade are not thinking about the team's future or its business. They're thinking about their own peace of mind. That's the gap the Analyst exposed. The real decision makers want Shedeur for football and for business. The trade push comes from people with neither responsibility.
And the other side of this, from like a marketing standpoint, or just a PR standpoint, Earl, we know how this fan base and a large portion of the city feels about Deshaun Watson. He is now associated with a bad era of Browns football that does have that playoff appearance in there in 2023 that he wasn't necessarily a part of in the moment. But like they associate that trade with bad memories, the worst trade in NFL history. People don't like him as a person, as a player. All those reasons we all know. Like if you trade Shedeur Sanders is the one quarterback you have that you can sell to the fan base as, hey, here's this unknown that we can find out about and that people can kind of like or get excited about. If you get rid of him or you trade him or take him out of this equation, then you're only left with the guy that's controversial and nobody wants to see for a team that, again, I know I keep bringing this up. They are thinking longer term about this team's future. They are thinking about keeping fans interested enough to get to the point where they're competitive again because they have a stadium to sell you in 2029. So, like, that stuff matters. They can't just throw in the towel on, like, the one good thing they have to sell at the quarterback position because, you know, people are coming up with these rumors.
And here is the proof that the front office itself is not behind the trade push. The analyst with the actual sources said he has heard nothing. Here is the part that confirms the trade push is coming from the media, not the team. The analysts, who actually have sources around the building, said they have heard nothing about the Browns shopping Shedeur. One said straight up, "I don't even know where this stuff came from. I haven't picked up any ideas or conversations that the Browns are actively shopping Sanders." So the people closest to the actual front office are telling you the front office is not driving this. And he was careful and honest about it, which makes it more credible. He said, "Is the phone always on? Sure. If Myles Garrett can get traded, anybody can get traded. If a team called and offered a second-round pick for Shedeur, a guy they got in the 5th, of course they would consider that because it would be great value." But then he added the key part. He does not think anyone is calling with that kind of offer because Shedeur is only 15 months removed from all 32 teams passing on him for almost 5 rounds. Teams are not lining up to give up premium picks for him yet, so the actual trade market is quiet. The loud part is all media. He drew the exact line that exposes the whole thing. Do I think people are calling Andrew Berry to inquire? Yes, that is normal. Do I think the Browns are actively shopping Sanders and entertaining the idea of it? No, not at all. That is the distinction the media blurred. Teams making routine inquiry calls are not the Browns shopping their quarterback. The front office is not pushing this. The media is. And the analyst told you why the media is pushing it. Because they are worn down by the backlash and would rather Shedeur disappear. So put both motives together and the picture is complete. The trade push makes no football sense because Shedeur is the only real upside in a barren quarterback room. It makes no business sense because Shedeur is the only quarterback the Browns can sell to a fan base that hates Watson, with a stadium to fill in 2029. The front office, by the analyst's own reporting, is not shopping him. So the only thing left driving the trade narrative is a group of media members who are tired of the social media storm their Shedeur coverage creates and who would feel a sense of peace if he just went away. That is the real motive the analyst exposed. It was never about Shedeur not being good enough. It was about certain people not being comfortable enough. And that is a theme problem, not a Shedeur problem.
I try to do my best to not tell other people in this business how to go about doing a job. And I really don't know 100% what they might, with 100% certainty, what they might know, to be true or not. Do I think people are calling Andrew Berry, inquiring? Yes. Do I think the Browns are actively shopping Shedeur Sanders and are entertaining even the ideology of it? No, I don't at all.
But he's safe. And I guess if somebody called and blew you away, and they were like, "Hey, we'll give you a 2nd-round pick for Shedeur Sanders." Okay, fine. Like, that was a 5th-round pick that you used. You can turn that into a 2nd-round pick. Like, I think absolutely you would sign up for that. I also don't think that that's happening.
So let me put the whole thing together, clean, because the real motive changes how you hear every trade. Run it back. A Browns analyst exposed the real motive behind the Shedeur Sanders trade push, and it is not football. First, the trade makes no football sense. Shedeur is the only real upside in a quarterback room where the only other options are a disliked Deshaun Watson and a project in Taylor Green. Second, it makes no business sense. Shedeur is the one quarterback the Browns can sell to a fan base that cannot stand Watson, and they have a new stadium to fill in 2029. Third, the front office is not even driving it. The analysts with actual sources said they have heard nothing about the Browns actively shopping him, only normal inquiry calls. So what is left? The analysts said it. The trade push and the fact that he can't be a backup narrative come from media members worn down by the social media backlash to their Shedeur coverage, who would feel a sense of peace if he just vanished. The real motive was never that Shedeur isn't good enough. It is that certain people are tired of the noise. That is their problem, not his. Let's bring it home. The real motive behind the Shedeur Sanders trade push just got exposed, and it has nothing to do with his play. Trading him makes no football sense because he is the only upside in a thin quarterback room. It makes no business sense because he is the one quarterback the Browns can sell to a fan base that hates Watson, with a stadium to fill in 2029. And the front office is not even shopping him, by the analysts' own reporting. The only thing left driving the narrative is a group of media members tired of the backlash their Shedeur coverage creates, who would rather he just disappeared. That is the real motive, not football, their own comfort. Drop a comment. Do you agree the trade push is really about the media wanting the noise to go away? Smash like and subscribe.